Hey everyone, welcome to a new series. This is the one that I announced a couple weeks ago. It is called Tower of Power. It's supposed to sound like a game show a little bit, but basically the summary of what we're going to be doing here is building a car and taking it up a hill climb. It's a specific one, I'll put it up on the screen. We'll be running that and with every single one of these videos, so we're always going to do the same race, same conditions, and I'm going to try to better myself every time. Now, I could just start off easily, just pick like this truck as an example, and then that could be my starting point, but we're going to start off strong. We're going to make a race car. Let's do something wild. This is a mod body. It's a Volkswagen Beetle, obviously, but it's going to become a Volkswagen Beetle hill climb because that's what we're doing. So details on the track, a lot of fast stuff, a few turns, but it's very like high horsepower driven, which makes a lot of sense for Tower of Power. And we're going to be going uphill, so another thing to consider is we're fighting gravity the whole way up. Now we need good tires. It's all asphalt, so that means drag tires are probably a decent mix for this. It's probably going to be, like, I think power is going to be the determining factor, but handling is important on this. I've only run it a few times. I didn't want to spoil it because we're going to be doing a lot of laps, but it should be good. So let's get into this. Naturally, I have no restrictions for myself here. We're just going to put on the best, lightest possible combination of things that we can get. And I think I'm going to go, this was something I was debating earlier. Let's go for a front transverse engine. We're going to leave a little bit of room for improvement, but who knows, maybe this Beetle will be the fastest car that I bring. One thing in my mind that I've been debating with myself is whether or not it makes sense to have variants of the same car, or if I have to remake it every time. I think once we get to the end of this, we'll kind of see, but probably we're going to end up using this chassis multiple times, I would suspect, just because it's easier for me, especially not having to make like 20 or 30 brand new cars for this. We're going to do like V1, V2, V3 of these vehicles, but they need proper names and stuff too, so yeah, it's going to be a whole thing. Let's get into it. Naturally, we need this sandbox to be full, so we have every option possible. 15 everywhere. New engine. Yeah, see, this is where things get interesting. Yeah, it's big power, big money. What do we need up front on this car? What is going to make this thing, it's actually sitting in the back right there, fast? We need big, big power. Let's do an inline 5. A little bit awkward, a little bit different. I just want to try it. We may as well experiment for the first episode. So I do want to go all-wheel drive, and this sort of length here is not going to work. Width is not going to be a problem. It's all going to be the length, I would assume, because it has to fit width-wise in the engine bay. So if we want a fairly square engine setup, obviously this is not square, it's going to be a 3-liter magnesium inline 5. Very unique, but should be cool. I am going dual overhead cam. Again, width is not really a worry, so that gives us some really good RPM limit basically that we can run to, and hopefully with the sandbox stuff also at 15, we can make crazy power. So we have a slightly lower stroke, which is good. I'm gonna up this thing to a fairly even 3 liters. Like, that's basically 3 liters. And that'll be as good as we can get. I think we could probably overbore it if it'll let me. Yes, okay, that's good. I want high RPM. I basically want to be screaming up in the high RPMs. We can't get flat plane cranks, unfortunately, so we'll just go for billet steel, titanium, forged light, I guess. We'll have to see how that works. What I want to do in this series, and one of my focuses, is going to be to try to talk about the things I'm doing. I know I'm like running through stuff right now, but these are the obvious things. It's basically race preset everywhere. Fuel is not necessarily obvious. Stuff like ethanol, compressed gas. We could do methanol, nitromethane. Let's do methanol. That'll give us 136 RON, and it should just be as good as it's going to get as like a flat base. Methanol fueling means it's running on alcohol, basically, so top fuel dragsters, that type of thing. Tubular race headers, no mufflers or anything interesting like that. And we're doing a cool 745 horsepower. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. 768, and there is a lot more sitting in this. It's been a while since I played this game. Let's get it up to, oh wow, oh yeah. 842. That is excellent. Great torque, great power. That looks pretty good, honestly. Little bit of turbo lag, it has to build, but that is not bad. So our compressor is restrictive, intercooler, intake, valves and stuff. Exhaust is very restrictive. We're going to need more exhaust. 2-inch apparently is not enough. So let's increase that header size. Headers are not an issue. Let's go with this. This might make the headers an issue. 908 horsepower. Again, I don't think that this engine is going to blow my socks off. It's not going to be a 3,000 horsepower monster that breathes only fire. I'm hoping, and my hope was for 1,500 maybe, somewhere between 1 and 1.5 thousand. That's kind of the goal. We'll see how it does there. Because ultimately, power is one thing, but lightness, tires, and the gearbox are another. I do not want to make it so that it's completely undrivable. I could just hit a preset on the turbo, but it's going to ruin everything. So we're going to just quickly make the compressor a little bit bigger and hope that that doesn't absolutely ruin everything else that's going on here. So we seem to be just gaining good power. We're losing low end power, but we are gaining top end power and mid power, which is very important. With this car, you do not want to let it go under 3,000 RPM. But with the torque reliability threshold here, conrods, crank, like this is our limiting factor so far. These pistons and stuff, RPM reliability, 11,000, 14,000. We could just keep turning this sucker up. This means we can also go up in the stroke as well, because we don't need to get up to this range. We can go higher, and then that is going to screw things up a little bit for this, but it's going to actually mean more power because we got more displacement. This engine is almost square at this point. 950, and now it's square, 3.2 liters. Well, not quite, because we're missing a little bit there. Let's make it fully square. Yeah, so it's a 3.4 liter now, square engine, 10,000 RPM reliability threshold, which is good. That's not a big deal for us, but I could probably put up the displacement even higher, and honestly, I might. Okay, we are starting to run into reliability issues here. That is because well, our power reliability threshold is pretty darn low, all due to pistons. Easy way to fix that is to jump back over to the bottom end, switch to forged heavy, and now we have a really good torque reliability threshold, meaning our crank is the limit. But that does mess up the conrods. This is not too bad. It's not as bad as that was, so this is better. Building engines is all about balance. In this case, we have a single turbo that is massive on a 3.4 liter engine, but with crazy turbo lag comes great responsibility. And yeah, this is crazy turbo lag. So I found the tipping point here. If I put the AR ratio up anymore, it breaks the engine for some reason. So 1,332 horses, that's not bad. I think I can get more just from boost. And hopefully we get that 1,500 I'm looking for a start. I mean, things can change. A lot of things can change. So I had the compression up too high because now we're doing 15 to 70. Overblew my limit, but at this point I just want to make power, so let's do it. Turbo lag still, yeah, 3,500. Don't go lower than that. 37. Do not go lower than 3,700 RPM. Mental note. Basically, what I've come to here is if I touch anything, this engine grenades. So touching new stuff seems to be fine. We're making the ignition timing really high. 1626. This is not a bad start for a first Tower of Power video. That's a lot of power. Okay, I'm going to cap it there before I get out of control. Basically, 1,630 horsepower. Insane. Beautiful. Inline 5. Trying to be unique. This is going to be good. Now the actual car. Admittedly, design does not matter very much for this contest, but I'm going to put some stuff on there just because I want to, and I want to make it look at least a little bit realistic, not just for the thumbnail, but for my own personal preference. I like to drive stuff that looks real. Okay, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit because we need to give this thing some stuff. So this is one of the things I was thinking about. I'm like, man, I got this beautiful gated shifter on my sim rig. I want to use it. So I'm going to go manual, and I'm going to go for a 5-speed gearbox. Just because that's easier for me to shift, although I believe I have 7 gates on my shifter. But anyways, we'll stick it with the 5 for now. Actually, heck it, let's do 6. 6 speeds. Electric LSD will give us a lot of good stuff, and I'm going to try to do... It's going to need to be slightly front bias, because it'll be heavier in the front than the back. Like, this is a front engine car, so that's just the way it has to be. We will have to come back to this stuff eventually. We We can change every individual gear ratio here to try and get this thing to be as fast as possible. But at the moment, we have no gear like stuff to look at, so no point in doing this blindly. Wheels, race wheels. I am thinking we'll have to go drag tires. That's tough. It's really tough. So this car is all-wheel drive. We do not necessarily want to have a staggered set. That kind of messes with things, so we're just going to keep it 305. That's the max we can get on the front, and the back as well. Same thing. A little bit more tire, a little bit less rim. Let's do 19s, and then we'll get a little bit of stuff out here. Pop those wheels at the back out. Carbon fiber wheels. Full quality. And now we have a little bit more of a stance. Let's get that suspension in. I'm getting ridiculously strong brakes on there. I think that's going to be important. Aerodynamics, we want full race diffuser. I was thinking flow optimized, but then I'm wondering about having downforce. It's extremely important. We're going to need it. We're going to cut out the back seats. We're going to make it basically have nothing inside of it. As light as possible. Manual rack and pinion does not make a lot of sense for a luxury car, but it's not luxury, so it should be good. Suspension is pretty darn difficult in this game. Let's do active sport with, I believe the semi-active is the best we can get, and hopefully that'll be full up on the quality. 99% sportiness, 99.9. This is as low as the car will go. We are full asphalt, so we don't really need any ride height. Like, it's literally going to be just boom on the terrain. I'm loving the way this car looks, by the way. Already, these curves, these angles, it's beautiful, but a little bit of tweaking required. The way that this car is set up, it will do 0 to 100, which is 0 to 60 in miles, in 1.6 seconds. That is amazing. That is ridiculous. I'm so happy with that. This is with a setting on the top gear at 592 kilometers an hour. We're not going to be getting up to that, but wicked. I'm not even sure I'm going to hit 6th gear in this. We're going to be whipping so hard in like 2nd and 3rd. It's going to be good. I'm excited for it. So this car is going to be a little bit jank because the power distribution is going to be set 68 front, 32 rear. This thing is essentially front wheel drive, even though it does have 32% of the power going to the rear. But that is matching its weight distribution. I tried to do a little bit of movement with that. I tried to put more weight on the rear, so it's a bit better balanced, but it's not very well balanced. We could do this, like we could lower this down and try to get it to be better, but it's not good. Like, that's not making much of a difference. You know what, heck it, let's do it all the way to the back on the weight distribution. We're going to try our hardest here to get it to be more 50-50, and that is all we get, 65-35. Ouch. Very heavy on the front. Next iteration of this might need to be mid-engined. Okay, so that top speed and all that gearing stuff that I did is kind of pointless because we have no aero. We need some kind of aero on here. Like, if we take a look at this, oh, actually we have a little bit with the under tray, the race diffuser, but I do want to do big wings. I want to do diffusers. I want to do front lips and stuff, so let's get that done. I may or may not be mixing up Volkswagen and other Volkswagen properties here, but fried egg headlights, like, they're good, man. Don't let the internet tell you otherwise. They're just trying to bring down the value of Porsches because they're way too darn expensive. So a big part of this series is to learn what makes a car go faster. What makes a car better in this game and also in BeamNG, naturally. I've always kind of just slapped things together. I mean, I'm doing it now. I don't always take enough time to think about the small details on cars to really get them to the place that they need to be as fast as they can be or whatever. I'm generally in a bit of a rush when I make my videos. I'm usually like, okay, let's get this done. Let's get this thing built. And that isn't always the best. So basically my goal here is to try and take my time a little bit, not taking too much time. Time is so limited these days, but taking some extra time and making something a little bit better than normal every once in a while. And as I say that, I notice how droopy these headlights are. Okay, let me fix that. Okay, extra rephrasing then. A massive cut above my usual stuff. That's pretty cool, isn't it? I will be the first to admit that this wing does not really work for this car, but I am also not going to change it. I like it too much. It's way too cool. Oh, that is so cool. It doesn't make any sense, but it's so cool. Gotta be honest, I don't know what the Beetle taillights look like at all, so I'm gonna fake this. Fake it until you make it. Like, I could look it up, but like... let's do something. Oh, I like it when it's painful for people to actually know what cars look like. There you go. That's not that far off from what I can remember. It's not that bad. Just keep in mind it can always be worse. Always. So the back kind of looks like a front, and then the front definitely looks like a front. So we have two fronts, and it's also a pretty darn crazy looking car. I'm extremely happy with the way that this thing turned out. So yeah, let's get into it. I have a couple more small details I want to add, and then beamng time. Time to go racing. Okay, forgive me for a bit, because I'm still figuring this whole setup out, and I might be wearing the shortest short shorts ever seen on a man, but don't worry about it. It's basically retirement at this point. I look like those guys in Florida who are just like straight leather walking around. You know who I mean. Okay, maybe there's not too many of them with the hurricane stuff on the go right now, but anyways, let's get back into this. So I recorded the building of this car, which I've called the Wasp. This is Wasp V1. I recorded that last night, and then it got so late that I couldn't really do anything. So what I did was I just tested it out on the track that I was intending to drive it on and intending to use for this series. And this is that track. It's a Utah Asphalt Hill Climb #1. I want to show you what this car looks like on the track, and I'm just not going to say anything. We're just going to go for it just to show you what we are dealing with here, because I think that you will understand what I'm talking about visually. So let's do it. Long and short story of it is that basically I discovered that this car, even with my ridiculously bad shifting, my terrible like cornering and stuff, is ridiculously quick. Like, this might be one of the fastest cars I have made, and the feeling of it, especially with widescreen, and I'm running ultra wide, is just insane on this sim rig. Thanks to Moser Racing for sending this, by the way. Took me a minute there to get the shifter set up, but it was because it was unsynchronized. Now it's working good. So this is the track I intended to use, but then I was like, okay, so if I'm struggling already with the very first car, we're not going to get the results that I'm looking for. So now we are track shopping to try and find something different to run these cars on, because I need to get it an actual time. Otherwise, what's the point? So here we are, track shopping. There's a very loud train going by, but I'm going to try out the West Coast USA Long Race Circuit 1. There is a Long Race Circuit 2, which is the same one with a chicane in the middle of the straight, so we might need that. I don't know at this point, but long story short, I'm scared. I was kind of hoping that these cars would start off slow, like I could be using the shifter, but it seems like I've already gotten to the stage where the shifter is out, sequential transmission is in, or dual clutch, and just let it do its own computery stuff, because it's got to be faster than I am. So at this point, we're going to be juggling transmission issues as well. So I didn't anticipate any of this when I started this series. I thought it was going to be slow and easy, but here we are. I've done this to myself. So I've set myself up for 3 laps. Should be good. Clutch in, first gear. I really need to reinforce this piece of wood because it squeaks and it's moving, which is good. Not really. I've done enough building today. Let's just tour the track. and see what there is to see. See, first corner here, and immediately we can downshift into second. Downshifts I need to work on a lot, I'm not great. That's third, yes. I'm a little quick on the clutch. Stop it. Stop, I'm in second. There we go. Downshift to second again. I think that this track might be doable because it's fairly wide open. That's first. Oh my goodness. Did I mention it's late at night? And this thing is loud. I'm gonna wake up my whole family. That is third as well. Hey, they actually have no entry signs on courses now. That's cool. So we're coming up to the long straight, which is deafening in this car. Doing 300 kilometers an hour, which is nothing for this thing. This is kind of what I was worried about when I did this initial run-up, and the reason why I was suggesting, oh my goodness, maybe a different track is because this car is so fast. It's too fast. Okay, this is going a little bit better. I'm still like kissing the rev limiter every single corner. And then I've accidentally shifted into first like 5 times trying to get into third. I'm money shifting hard with this car. See, I'm not even sure it's worth it to go into third half this track. Like, only this straight section is actually going to be even possibly going to kiss 5th or 6th. I don't think I want to, though. Like, I'm slowing down on purpose. That's 6th. 4th. That should be 3rd. Third. Ooh, the brakes are so strong you can absolutely launch it. That's 4th. Man, oh man. Oh no, 2-wheel moment. Come on, no, don't you dare. Okay, restart. I should have had the clutch in when I was restarting. We're gonna be moving the car. There we go. Flat foot shifting. That's 2 minutes and something. That's a standing start 2-minute lap. Yikes. I don't know what to do at this point. I think this car is too quick. Either that or I'm trying to drive it too hard, but it just has so much in it that I really want to wring it out of it. I want to get the best out of this car, but that's not easy when it's so ridiculously fast. I'm thinking about putting this car up on my Discord for all of you to try, because I'm curious if there's any like easy faults with it. But as for a first Tower of Power vehicle, this thing is shockingly quick. So basically, in this first video, we're not even going to set a time. We haven't actually picked out a track yet, because I need your opinion. What should I do? Should I try this circuit, or should I stick with the hill climb? The hill climb, the reason I picked it was one, very quick lap time, so we can just keep going over and over again. But maybe that's not as fun as doing something like this and doing a few laps and picking the best of 3 or something like that. That's a lot more classic racing, which I don't really do much of. But yeah, it's really either hill climb, the actual race circuit, or some other third thing. I need your opinions down below, so until then, I will be crashing and destroying vehicles constantly, apparently. And also my sim rig at the same time, because the thing is falling apart. Yeah, hopefully end of October I will have a full setup ready to go instead of sort of jankery like this. Gotta get my GoPro set up, gotta get everything set up, and then the audio hopefully better as well. But until then, guys, thank you for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and feel free to like this video and subscribe to this channel if you're interested in more Tower of Power stuff. If you like Mazda speed, then you'll like this seat, and you'll like this sim rig, and you'll like the build of it probably, so check that out too. Yeah, bye everybody. Thank you for watching. I need to go to bed. Finally. Whew.